Okay, time for a new video, and whether you are somebody new to my channel or you are returning to my channel to watch this video, it's greatly appreciated. As always, I'm filming this in one go, therefore if I stumble over my words going forwards, I apologise in advance. I also apologise in advance if the quality of this video is fairly poor as well, if there's any lag, anything like that at all. Sadly it cannot be helped, and hopefully it's not too much of an issue for you. This is yet another Eurovision Song Contest related video here on my channel, and the first video in a while that focuses on what would have been this year's upcoming edition, which would have been in May, of course, roughly a month from now, in Rotterdam in the Netherlands. And it's a great shame that it's not happening, and a lot of people online have been making their own predictions as to what may have happened in this year's competition, and it's always nice to see what other people think. I'll be making more videos about the 2020 edition moving forwards, but this time last year, I think it was roughly this time last year, maybe last March, I'm not entirely sure, doesn't really matter, I made a video called Why the Netherlands Should Win Eurovision 2019. And of course they went on to do so. Now, when I made that video, I felt pretty confident, I won't lie, that Duncan Lawrence was going to win last year's edition in Tel Aviv. He was well ahead of everybody else with the bookmakers. The odds were all saying the Netherlands were going to win. In the end, it was fairly close, the result. Italy were runners-up, and I have to say the week of last year's grand final, I thought the only two nations who could probably topple the Dutch were Italy, with Soldi by Mahmoud, of course, very catchy song, very well performed, and Kate Miller-Heidke with Zero Gravity for Australia. Those are the only other two songs that I think could have stopped Duncan from winning. It's well worth saying that he didn't win the jury vote, he didn't win the public vote, but that didn't matter in the end because he won overall. Very good song, Arcade, and a worthy winner as far as I'm concerned. So, with this year's contest not happening, a great shame, as I've already said, I wasn't sure about making a video similar to the one that I made last year, but thinking about it, why not? I am here to say that I think if this year's contest had gone ahead, I think Switzerland would have won. And I think Switzerland maybe would have deserved to win. And in this video, which is going to be a ramble, I haven't really planned what I'm going to say, so prepare yourselves. I'm going to be talking about why I think Switzerland deserved to win this year's contest. So, a little bit of history then, why not? Let's roll back the years with Switzerland in the Eurovision Song Contest. Hosted the very first contest, won the very first contest in 1956 with Refrain by Liz Assia, a song in French, very similar to this year's Swiss entry of course, and Liz Assia would actually represent Switzerland 3 years in a row. 56, 57, 58. And of course in 1956, that's the only year in Eurovision history to date, and I don't think this will change, where you had 2 entries per country. So Liz Assia had Das Alte Karussell, which was a German language song as well. Switzerland's form in Eurovision from 1956 to the present day, well, it's been a bit of a mixed bag. I mean, there has been a few decent results. Nous aurons demain by Franca Di Rienzo in 1961 finished 3rd. A couple of second places. Liz Assia in 1958, one such example. But certainly over the past 20 years, form has been a little bit patchy. Last place with a big fat 0 in 1998. Last place in the semi-final with a big fat 0 in 2004. Just 2 points in 2010 in one of the semi-finals, just 4 points in 2015 in one of the semi-finals. But it really felt last year, and I think I speak on behalf of a lot of other Eurovision fans when I say this, it really felt last year that Switzerland turned a corner. I'm not sure what happened or what conversations were had with the Swiss broadcaster, but last year, of course, we had Luca Hänni with She Got Me, and this was a very striking, slick piece of pop, some choreography, decent vocals, really good music video. It got a lot of buzz, it got a lot of people talking. The live performance, thankfully, was very strong, lots of red, and it all paid off in the end because Switzerland got their best result this century to date. Of course, Gjon'sTears, more on him in a minute, may well have bettered Luca's result in Rotterdam a month from now. But yes, definitely turning a corner. Failed to qualify, it says here, 2007 to 2010, 2012 and 2013, no appearance in the final, and again 2015 to 2018, no grand final appearances. It's a real shame. I think Switzerland have been very underrated over the years. They've sent a wide variety of music. Who can forget Vampires Are Alive by DJ Bobo in 2007, and of course the Null Point in the 2004 semi-final by Piero and the Music Stars, which was a very repetitive sort of birthday party sort of song called Celebrate. But anyway, just looking at this here, 2 wins, that's it. And it says 60 appearances, 49 finals. Last in 1964, 67, 74, 98 and the 04 semi-final, the 2010 semi-final, 2011, the 2015 semi-final, one of the semi-finals of course, and the 2016 semi-final, one of those semi-finals, of course, because there are 2. And 4 times a big fat 0, null point in 64, 67, 98 and the 04 semi-final. Anyway, I'm well aware that I'm rambling, but the other Swiss victory, of course, came in 1988. Another song in French, Ne partez pas sans moi. 137 points. It translates as Don't Leave Without Me, and some person called Celine Dion performed it. I don't know what she's done since. But anyway, that was the winner by 1 point over Scott Fitzgerald of the UK. And it was a grand ballad. Not too sure about the outfit, but she was young, just starting out, we can overlook that. But she belted it out. She sounded a cut above many of the other musicians that year. So when Switzerland have won, and it is just the twice, they've been landmark victories in many ways. Lisacia, the very first winner on home soil, and then Celine Dion, you know, a song that I think a lot of people maybe have forgotten about, and I think even Celine Dion herself doesn't really think about this song too much. She probably hasn't even performed it in years, but it was a huge win because she went on to become one of the leading female musicians in the world, and it was Eurovision that really kick-started that. I think she was known in Canada, but she was less known over here, so it just started things for her. Anyway, 2 times Switzerland have won, 2 times the winning song for them has been in French. I think it would have been 3 times. I mean, quite a gap, 1988 to 2020. Gjon'sTears with Répondez-moi, answer me, respond to me. I think people were absolutely blown away when they first heard this. You had a monochrome music video. There is John with his big swathe of black hair, looking great, sounding fantastic in this studio cut. And he's just walking from room to room, looking quite sad. It's a quite melancholic song in general. You know, there's rainfall, there's a balloon. I haven't seen the music video in quite a while, but I remember thinking that it was quite artistic, telling a story. And in fact, I'm just going to take a look at the lyrics here, because I think it's well worth looking them up. This is obviously a very powerful, emotionally charged song, a very personal song. Let's take a look. Répondez-moi. It does mean answer me. Now, he wrote it, Gjon'sTears. His real name is John Muharremaj. Not sure I'm entirely pronouncing that correctly. But anyway, it says here, everyone asks themselves, why exactly are we here? Where do we come from and where are we going? These are key questions, particularly for people from a migrant background. My parents are from Albania and Kosovo. I grew up in Switzerland, and it's my home. These are questions that I think about a lot. And I always think songs that are very personal to the artist performing them, if you can convey the emotions to a large audience, you are on to something special. Last year, we did have a ballad win, Arcade of course, and I think that was quite a personal song. And it was just such a beautiful, simplistic performance, and it struck a chord with people who voted for it in big numbers. I think we would have seen something similar again this year. Yes, 2 similar-ish ballads in a row winning. Why not? At the end of the day, quality will come out on top, more often than not, in the Eurovision Song Contest. Anyway, Répondez-moi. Let's take a look at the lyrics. That's in French. I'll translate them to English. Why the rain and the clouds too? Why in the evening do you fall asleep in my bed? Do you fall asleep in my bed? Why we sleep so far from the family in another country? Why death comes after life? That's the phrase that's in the book that he looks at in the music video. Answer me. No wooden tongue. Answer me. Why do we run without ever stopping? Why do we pray their separate ways? I think this is a very loose translation, but I think you get the point. Foreigner here, foreigner there. Will it grow without summer? Yes, I think it's just... It's not, you know, a plea or anything like that. I'm not sure that's the right word. But I think he's very much trying to convey a message. You know, why are we so far away from our families in another country? You know, this is probably the thoughts of many a migrant. You know, they're in one place and their loved ones are somewhere else, and it can be very challenging and very difficult, particularly if you are young, particularly if you're fleeing a war, for example. But anyway, it's such a beautiful song. The strength of this entry is obviously his voice. He's hitting high notes that most guys never come close to. Most male musicians never can hit notes like this, as far as I'm concerned. Great English from me there, but let's gloss over it. I mean, wow. So haunting, so beautiful, and even when he's performed this song live, because he has performed it live once or twice, he's hitting those notes every time. You know that in that big venue in Rotterdam next month, had this year's contest been going ahead, it would have just been a real moment. I don't know what his plans were for the staging, whether he'd even had big discussions about that. I'm sure he and Swiss Television would have been bartering back and forth with ideas, and his team as well. I mean, how I picture it, piano, which obviously wouldn't have been live, a great shame, and people would have said he would have been copying Duncan Lawrence, but I don't think so. This is its own beast. I can picture the piano, him behind it, the camera focusing on him, moving closer towards his face, minimal lighting, and I think the whole performance would have been monochrome, you know, just a few white lights, nothing else. Or maybe some sort of sunrise-like effect as the song builds up to its final chorus, which is obviously so powerful, and he's really going for it. It's very emotional. I mean, his stage name is Gjon'sTears, so maybe there could have been some sort of tear-like effect, some sort of like water on glass effect. I'm not sure what they would have done, we can only speculate, but one thing's for sure, it would have stood out an absolute mile, and he would have performed in the second half of the second semi-final. I think it would have won. I really do. I mean, he wasn't the favourite to win when the contest was cancelled. Bulgaria were, and I'm sure Bulgaria would have pushed for the win. Tears Getting Sober, of course, a fine song, but I think in terms of impact, the Swiss had it in the bag. I mean, Lithuania, if Europe was in the mood for a quirky song to win, I think Lithuania would have been the country to do it, more so than Iceland, maybe. But, I mean, it's just speculation. Everybody's got their own opinion. I personally think Switzerland would have won, and I would have been very happy about it. A third win, their first in several decades, and it would have been a landmark win as well, because it really would mean that the Swiss had absolutely turned a corner after years of arguably mediocre results. You know, let's be honest, mediocre, poor, dismal results. To finish fourth and then win, that's a big turnaround. I mean, we saw it with the Dutch. They didn't qualify for years, and then all of a sudden they made the final in 2013, did quite well, finished second in 2014, and apart from one or two blips on the radar since, they went on to win last year, absolutely having turned a corner. I use that phrase because it's true. And I think the Swiss, wow. I mean, it's unbelievable to think that they had a song as good as Répondez-moi this year. When you take a look at some of the other songs they've had over the past 10 years, what's changed? I really don't know. I think Switzerland definitely want to win again. Would it be Bern? Would it be Geneva? Would it be Lausanne? Would it be Lugano again? Who knows? There's plenty of cities to pick from. Zurich. What's the other one? Basel. You know, there's a whole bunch to pick from. But yes, the first French language entry for Switzerland since 2010. And it's a shame, really, because, of course, you have German speakers in Switzerland, you have Romansh speakers in Switzerland, you have Albanian speakers in Switzerland, you have Italian singers and speakers in Switzerland. So I think Switzerland, I'd like to see them send more songs in languages that aren't English going forwards. He will be back in 2021. I'm really looking forward to it. If he has a song half as good as Répondez-moi, he'll be a serious contender again. Let's hope that he has something really special put to one side. I don't really have anything else to say. I really do apologise because this video has been a massive ramble. Maybe I'll refilm it at some point. But anyway, it was an internal choice, and a really fantastic internal choice as well. He would have been, as I said earlier, in the second semi-final in the second half, 14th of May 2020. That would have been a Thursday. He would have had points from pretty much every other nation. I mean, this has broad appeal. If it's emotional, even if it's in a language you don't understand. I mean, my French isn't great, but it would have connected with you. It would have been a real moment. It would have been beautiful. People would have been blown away by his vocals, particularly those high notes. And if he was drawn into the second half of the grand final, he would have qualified. He would have won this second semi-final. If he had got to the final and then been drawn into the second half of the grand final, there would have been no stopping him. I think journalists, all the press, all the fans, they would have been on board, and many tears would have flowed, ladies and gentlemen, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I'm not a very emotional person, in all honesty, but even this song, you know, it gets me a little bit, even though my story is very different from his, of course. I mean, just a tremendous, tremendous song. High quality stuff. Now, I mean, we have other ballads. Norway's song is my favourite of the year and will probably stay that way. But I think, arguably, the Swiss song is just that little bit better. If I'm being as neutral as I can be, I mean, very few songs come close to it. Absolutely fantastic. I mean, it just starts off with quite sparse instrumentation, and it just builds up, and it is quite artistic, and obviously it's emotional, and I think if this song was in English, it just wouldn't work as well. I really don't think it would have worked at all. So what are the French lyrics? While I'm here, pourquoi la pluie et les nuages aussi, et les nuages aussi. Pourquoi le soir tu t'endors dans mon lit? Pourquoi on dort si loin de la famille, dans un autre pays? Pourquoi l'amour vient après la vie? Je donne ma langue au chat. Well, I give my tongue to the cat. That's not the translation there. I do apologise here. This is probably not the best way to do it. But anyway, répondez-moi, pas de langue de bois, répondez-moi. Just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And there's a picture of him in the music video. You know, it looks as though he's in pain, but he's just really feeling the lyrics. And he would have done on stage. Absolutely fantastic. I mean, he's 21, he's younger than me. Unbelievable. What a voice. He was born in Broch, in Switzerland. Oh, hang on. Oh, Bro. Not entirely sure how you pronounce that, but anyway, it's sort of towards the west of Switzerland. Pretty small place, very beautiful, lovely views. Yeah, 21. Can you believe it? He was on The Voice in France. He didn't win. I'd like to know who did. He was also on the first season of Albania's Got Talent at the age of 12, and he finished third. He was also on the semi-finals of Die Großen Schweizer Talente, which I assume is Switzerland's Got Talent. Absolutely fantastic. A Kosovo-Albanian father and an Albanian mother from Tirana. And Albania could have voted for him. That's 12 points in the bag. Kosovo, not involved. But like I said earlier, he would have got points from all corners of Europe. People would have just really appreciated the vocals, and I'm sure the staging would have been stripped back, as it should be for a song like this. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. I mean, I could have made a video saying why Norway should win Eurovision 2020, because that is my favourite song of the year. But in all honesty, Switzerland was, at the time of this year's contest being cancelled, the country to beat. More so than Bulgaria, more so than Lithuania, more so than Iceland. Switzerland would have won. I felt sure of it. And it's a real shame that we will not get to see or hear Répondez-moi on that Eurovision stage. I mean, what will he have next year? I don't know. Will it be in French? Will it be something more upbeat? I don't know. I still need to listen to some of his other music, actually, which I will do away from YouTube, of course, filming videos like this. That's it. Big ramble. Oh my word, I do apologise. I repeated myself so many times, and I have to say I'm not truly happy with how I've structured this. But anyway, let me know your thoughts. Do you think Switzerland would have won? Because I certainly do. Maybe not by a huge margin, but I think Gjon'sTears, Répondez-moi, the song to beat. And the studio version's fantastic. He nails it live. As I said earlier, an emotional, beautiful song. I just love that bit where he harmonises. Absolutely fantastic. And wow, those high notes. Amazing. Amazing. Even really established professional musicians could not hit notes like that. Fantastic. Anyway, I'm going to shut up now. What a turnaround for Switzerland. I mean, who would have thought? I mean, if you had said to me 2 years ago that Switzerland were going to send two very different but equally great songs in succession, I would have thought you were just absolutely joking. But that's what's happened. Absolutely amazing. What a turnaround from Switzerland. Fantastic. And it's about time the contest was in Switzerland again, let's be honest. I mean, Austria, right next door geographically, I mean, it was ages before they won again. And it's been ages since the Swiss won. So we'll just see what happens next year. Let me know your thoughts on this. Big ramble. Do apologise. Hopefully the quality wasn't too bad. Let me know your thoughts. Would Switzerland have won? Would Gjon'sTears have finished at least in the top 5? Or do you think he would have flopped? I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. Anyway, until next time, thank you very much for watching. Maybe I'll refilm this at some point, I don't know. But that's why I think Switzerland should have won if it had been going ahead. Eurovision 2020. Until next time, I appreciate everybody watching this video and the support on my channel over the past few months, and everybody who took part in my live Eurovision quiz yesterday, and indeed the one last week. Much appreciated. Bye for now.